Exercise to clear the mind. This exercise also forms part of Olive Pixley's series of exercises to build an armor of light. In this exercise, a crystal white light that stems from infinity is used to clear the mind. Although infinity may not be physically imaginable, you can picture this as a ray coming from above, as in the Allah Hieve illustration above. It streams into your head and loops out to connect you with the symbol of the inner guide, teacher, or source. The power of the light streaming through the head washes the mind clean of all dusty thoughts accumulated during the day as you forcibly expel the air. Even though this exercise may be done at any time, it is especially helpful to do it at night. In the morning, the mind awakens cleared of the previous day's frustrations. This exercise forms the alignment proposal in the master practice. It is done either standing or sitting. The exercise. Begin by connecting with the great central sun through the awareness of your God self. Invoke the forces of central intelligence to descend. Call upon the visual image of your own higher self, or that of a master such as Jesus, Buddha, Kuan Yin, or of the Sun presence, which represents individualized God force. On a deep inhalation to the sounds Ah-La, bring in the light, which is positioned just above and slightly forward of the head, entering through the throat. On a forceful outbreath of release like blowing out air, to the sounds of Hieve, flash the light through the head and out of the back of the neck, curving up and crossing the head from back to front, to issue out through the third eye as if flushing out all thoughts. Send the light and its contents into the visualized radiance of the Christ mind. The head should be tilted upwards, and this exercise should be done 3 times whenever the need for clear thinking is sought. Pronounce he as in see, a as in day, and ve as in the way you would pronounce the first syllable in the word verily. The power of the spoken word. Who has not pondered the meaning behind the biblical statement, "In the beginning was the Word"? As outlined in the introduction, the primordial source is a nexus of vibration from which all substance and all attributes derive. This source is a state of oneness. It is the universal sum total of as yet unqualified energy. The instant the energy is qualified and becomes something, its vibration collapses. This process of qualification occurs through sound. From an oceanic, all-pervading humming, which is the primordial sound in Om, Aum, I am. It individuates into notes. Each resonance vibrates in a unique way, breaking up into some kind of form, into parts. It becomes substantial. Sound is the precipitating activity that coalesces substance by gathering energy into clusters, which then mold into a form. Color is sound as substance. Thus, you may understand how the rays build or create all that is through combinations of color, sound, frequency, thereby allowing light substance and physical matter to emerge as form. It stands to reason that just as sound creates, it can also destroy. This has been proved again and again by science in the last century. Ultrasound waves, for instance, may kill bacteria and cancer cells. Sonic booms can cause shock waves that damage surrounding objects. On a more poetic note, the opera singer Caruso's voice could break glass. It is easy to forget the awesome vibratory power that lies in sound. The scientific field of acoustics is constantly revealing innovative new uses for sound. Scientists have long used sound to move small objects in the air, a phenomenon known as acoustic levitation. Apart from its technological uses, sound is a vital survival method in the animal kingdom and our primary mode of communication. You utilize the same principles in creating yourself and your worlds. Not knowing how to use sound purely, you use the spoken word. A word is a sound that has been invested with meaning. It carries a thought form and a feeling. Tone is a qualifier that conveys feeling and colors the environment. When tone is injected into a word that carries intentionality, we have formulas such as abracadabra or be still and know, power phrases, incantations, decrees, and affirmations, which bring about envisioned results. The throat chakra, a vehicle for first ray activity, is responsible for expressing will, both personal will and divine will. Will is the propelling force for manifestation and creation. The throat chakra can express bittersweet emotionality, romance and sensuality. It can express raw power and even violence. When the throat chakra is at the service of the upper chakras, the sound produced inspires, uplifts, lulls, and awakens. It also nourishes, imparting the will to live and transmitting warm folds of security, as well as the dreamy spaces of light and love. Once a thought form has been constructed, the light form counterpart of that which you wish to manifest physically is activated. You invoke the substance of light, following the formula for creation, sound or the spoken, i.e., vibrated word. All words are invested with cumulative power or momentum. Magical formulas and incantations are invested with the accumulated energy from thousands of magicians and adepts from centuries past who have created a powerful vortex for manifestation. Although we have retained the knowledge of some formulas, humanity has lost most of them and has mostly lost the deeper understanding of the dynamics involved. Here, as always, one has to thank the grace of spirit and of the luminous presence of the masters, teachers, and guides who guard and inspire all. We must thank them for having sealed off the knowledge of the dynamics of the law of one from past civilizations that did not have the refinement needed for the correct ethical implementation of higher principles. One has to also thank them for having reopened that seal now. Now is the time to recreate and rediscover the workings of the law in awareness of the divine partnership with Spirit. Making the call and how to apply it. All substance, whether of light or matter, follows the command of the word. Before making the call or issuing a decree, an affirmation, or a spiritual fiat, you must be in correct alignment with both earth and cosmic forces through the master practice. Alchemical formulas follow the same mechanism as in the alchemical alignment and consist of these simple steps. Invocation. This means extending your physical life force, the powers of thought or visualization, feeling, and words, up to the God Self, connecting with that higher frequency in a way that reverberates back upon physical reality. Starting the call means formulating your intentions in a clear way. Identification. In this step, identify that frequency of the God Self as your own, allowing waves of energy to gather and be sustained within the body. At the same time, affirm I am in whatever is invoked. I am serving my highest purpose. In this manner, as source, you project energy from the highest level down into matter. Acceptance. This means redescending into the consciousness of the physical body and embodying the light experienced at the higher dimensions where you have accepted your identity as a God Self within matter, fulfilling the call you have made. The acceptance of your identity is stated as a fact, which sets the mental blueprint for physical activity to follow and carry out the invocation. Pay attention to this formula, for it will be the basis of much of your alchemical work and will be frequently referred to in the following pages. Making the call works according to the same principle as the dynamics involved in the law of supply and demand. You create a demand, what you are asking for, and it is then released, supplied to you. You are reaching for yourself, the highest source, and then giving to yourself. You are coming from a place of centrality and wholeness, with focus, and using the faculties of higher mind. Thought forms act as magnetic drawing force. When you issue a decree or affirmation with power and conviction, i.e., combining the adequate intensity of feeling with visualization to produce a dynamic living impulse, the visualization congeals into a positive image within the aura. You set a pattern that physical matter must follow, and you begin to create your own world. Everything in creation moves in cycles. Whatever goes out returns to the sender, qualified and multiplied by the force of its trajectory. A call compels an answer. This is the meaning behind Jesus' statement, "Knock, and the door will be opened to you." The problem lies not in the answering process, but in the way in which the call is made. If projected through fear and need, it will return the same qualities to the sender. If projected in full consciousness, no miracle is too big. The projected energy in this case is that of love. Basic alchemical formula. The following section serves to reinforce the master practice now that you understand the power of feeling, thought, and the spoken word. To connect experientially with higher vibrational frequencies, one still needs to use third-dimensional vocabulary. Although there is, of course, no real map for the dimensions beyond our third, you may guide yourself through the use of certain visualizations and emotions, thereby translating multidimensional reality into third-dimensional linearity. The best illustration for consciousness I have found is the vertical one, adapted for the Master Practice meditation presented in Part 1. This illustration is as old as humankind upon the planet, but was reintroduced to the public at the end of the last century by the Theosophical movement and popularized in the 1930s by Mr. and Mrs. Guy W. Ballard. It is the roadmap used in the Master Practice and resembles the Inner Alchemy dimensional chart explained in Part 5. See pages 200-201. As you visualize a vertical ascent of your consciousness, you actually move the energy interdimensionally and effect a vibrational acceleration. The individualized God Self is the highest vibrational frequency possible for any intelligence in embodiment. The pure, sustained intensity of this dimensional frequency is something that is not available or possible in this dimension. The God Self is an interiority. It is a space that does not correspond to physical time-space, but precedes and accompanies heightened sensibility. Like the dimensions beyond and below the individualized God Self, it is experienced as simultaneous space within the now. The fact that your experience of this God Self is coincidental and experienced as an energy frequency finer than this one indicates that your being is part of it. You would not be able to experience that which is not a part of you. In the following practice, the source point, the centralized position acquired by the focus of a person identified with source, is located about 30 feet, 9 meters, directly over the head when sitting or standing, and the same height over the body at an angle when lying down. There is no exact correlation between distance and dimensionality. This is merely an approximation. As you ascend, there can be a sense of riding a supersonic jet during takeoff. Before engaging on the takeoff, you need to be wholly grounded in your physicality, sensorially, emotionally, and mentally. This serves as the anchor. It is precisely the physical vehicle you want to charge to be able to transmit the higher frequencies around you with goodwill and blessing, and in so doing ennoble, uplift, and refine for the good of all, shunning self-pleasure and gratification. Next, locate the heart center, because it is through the heart that you connect to interdimensionality and to spirit. In esoteric traditions of the past, this was visualized as the sacred heart, or the abode of the sacred fire, the home of the divine spark. A multicolored flame is formed in the heart that radiates in all directions, its radius in proportion to the degree of purity and spiritual development of the individual. This flame can be magnified and sustained according to your ability to sustain the frequency. Within the sacred fire in the heart reside all the powers of the God Self and the faculties of light. Your sacred heart is an exact replica of yourself as essence. You might, at this point, consider that you are, in fact, a simultaneous reality. You are both a being of spirit and matter, and understand how your physical self is a projection from the farthest dimension of spirit self. Next, follow an energetic line, a beam of light, extending from the heart upwards to the source point about 30 feet, 9 meters above, rising through the heart, throat, head, and out. Continue until you experience a focus of light so intense that you can scarcely contain its energy. The light appears brilliant white and contains all the different rays and colors of the spectrum. As you consider your totality of being, you come to understand now the saying, "I am that I am," meaning I am down here in physical embodiment, that I am up there in light substance. Saying this is an affirmation that establishes the alchemical alignment in etheric form, connecting the matter of your earth body to the substance of your light body. The way in which you use the spoken word in making a call is critical, as is the visualization involved. Notice the difference between what some people call prayer and an affirmation, such as the one cited above, "I am that I am." The common misconception about prayer is that the one praying is begging for something from an outside God. One is seeking help out there. This implies that the individual is inferior, identified with limitations, temporality, and third dimensionality. Instead, with the use of the power words, "I am," you affirm, make your claim, and establish in word and in deed, your visualization, that you and your source are one. When you make the call now, at the third stage of acceptance, you make the statement, "I know that you and I are one. Where you are, there is no time and space. Everything exists in pure potentiality. As I speak in calling for the manifestation of your divine gifts and the fulfillment of your divine plan for me on this earth, I know that this call is already fulfilled." You pull the seed idea or affirmation into physical reality. You are perfectly aware that you exist in 2 dimensions simultaneously and exert the powers over both the substance of light and matter. Making the call and the alchemical alignment constitute the alchemical formula.